All right, guys, welcome to the MAK Podcast. This is our first episode, and I have a super awesome guest that I'm super pumped to be on here. He's kind of my guinea pig, but he's also one of the most positive people I've ever met. He's one of my good friends. He is also known in the car sales world as the Culture King. It takes a strong person to be that. It's a hard thing to have positive friends and positive people in your life. It's also hard to keep a positive vibe throughout an entire company. Guys, welcome, Nick. Appreciate having you, man.
Yeah, thanks, Mark.
I'm excited to talk about culture today, and I want to get into the first. How's everything going today? You good?
It's great. Beautiful day. We had an awesome day selling cars yesterday, and woke up with you this morning. Got to get a nice workout in, so I'm ready to rock and roll. It's early yet, so we got a great big day ahead of us, and then the weekend, which is always exciting.
Yeah. We do work out every morning, and we start our day off right. But what in the car business, it seems like culture is always the talk right now, right?
Yep.
Because employee retention and training and all this stuff. What specifically in culture, what does that mean in the car business, or what does that mean to you?
Yeah, so there's many different avenues someone could go to when they talk about culture. Where do we start? Where do we stop? What does the path look like? And it's challenging, and it's not, a lot of people think like, you look up culture in the dictionary, it might say something, and I just got to put that into my business or my line of work or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
But the reality is it's not like one size fits all,
Okay.
There's so many like different avenues of it, and when I think about the business you're in, or specifically the car business that I'm in, we have many different, age demographics, or where people came from, or why are they in Grand Forks now, or why did they get in the car business. The reality is culture is a big thing of just like making sure your people know that you care. And it's like people don't care about how much you know until they know how much you care. And there's a lot to that phrase that I just said, but that care piece is huge.
Yeah.
What I try to do, and this is going to sound a little bit corny, but I try to make the culture something so when someone wakes up in the morning, they look forward to going to the place of work.
Yeah.
Some days are better than others, right?
Yeah.
But there's a big chunk of the population that has a pit in their stomach on Sunday afternoon that goes, man, I don't want to wake up and go to my job tomorrow.
Mondays.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't have that.
Yep.
So I recognize, like, why don't I have that? Why haven't I felt that since I got in the business?
Yeah.
And obviously I love it. I have a passion for the car business, but I'm like, I just want to be able to make sure that the people that I work with or that I come in contact with feel the same way.
Yeah.
And I think when we say, how does it start your day? Or it's like, if they can wake up in the morning and they don't feel that pit in their stomach, that's like step one.
Yeah.
Right? And if we're going to have a great day and a good culture and good people, that's step one. And I think a big chunk of the other part is having the care piece with your people. And some people say like, well, how do you do that? Do you just tell them you care about them? Right? Like, I care about you. Okay, that's great. But like,
well, there's so many of them.
Right. And like, what does that mean? So it's hard, you'll have, like we have in the car business, a lot of it's teams. Okay. So it might be like different hierarchies of different teams, but it's tough to show 12 people that directly report to you that you care about them. That's a lot of people, right? So it might be like, hey, how can you build this hierarchy of people? Think of it like a Christmas tree, so to speak, and it's like maybe there's 4 or 5 people that report to me specifically. Yeah. But I got to make sure that they all know that they're cared for.
Yeah.
So you got to know about family. You got to know about some hobbies. Take these people out for lunch. If there's something on the weekend that you can do, that's great.
And this is every employee down the line, because there's so many employees, right? Like, I don't know how many are just on your staff, but
So in our staff, in our department of our staff, we have over 400 in our store. Jeez. But in our department, there's like 68 employees. That's a lot of people.
Yeah. How do you stay in front of them? Like, that's what I struggle with. Like, how do you stay in front of everybody?
Yeah, it's hard. And I'm transitioning now a little bit into another position. So part of that is challenging, because what you're trying to do is build what you've worked on for several years. You just say, okay, when I walk and I start on something else, I got to make sure that that legacy stays and these habits, they stay. It's like, how do we do that? Well, you almost have to start letting go a little bit, and it's really challenging.
Yeah.
So there's some meetings, I make sure that I'm in front. I want to do the meetings and I want to do all this stuff. And the last few months, as I'm trying to transition, I'm doing less and less and less of that.
Okay.
And I'm in an incredible mood this morning, but I got to take part in a meeting this morning.
Yeah.
I was talking about Jimmy led that meeting this morning. But
Yeah.
I was kind of involved too.
Absolutely,
and so
yeah.
I was all fired up.
Because you're fired up for him.
Yes.
It's like, Jimmy, let's do this.
Right.
And you gave him some constructive criticism after on how to keep people motivated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of things with culture or showing people how you care or something. We have these things called development plans.
Okay.
And Mark, I know you're big on goals. You talk to me about goals all the time. You got to have them, and absolutely. A goal is great because like, why am I waking up? What direction am I going towards,
Yeah.
But we have these little sheets. It's just a one-page sheet, and it says development plan on it. And it might say like current goal. So not like end goal. I want a plane, and I want all these great things, right? But it's like, what did we wake up for today? What's the goal?
Yeah.
Maybe someone wants to make 10 grand this month.
Yeah.
Or maybe they want to sell 25 cars, or maybe they want their next promotion, whatever that might be. But it's like, great, that's that goal.
Yeah.
And then it might say, then there's a question underneath it that just says, if you had to rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate yourself? Are you 7, 8, 9? If you're a 10, it would mean that you've already got that next step, right? So it's like, where are you at?
Right.
And what's your potential? Oh, my potential's a 10. Great. Then there's a couple subcategories underneath it.
Yeah.
And there's just a couple things. One that we call them action items. So it just goes, okay, if you're going to sell 25 cars this month, if you're going to make 10 grand, if you're going to get that promotion, what's the biggest thing you feel like you need to work on right now?
Today. What's the next step?
And that's a big deal because then someone might say something like, oh, I really struggle getting my day started off on the right foot. And it's like, okay, well, that's kind of vague. What does that mean?
Yep.
Well, I'm really tired till 9 a.m. Great. So let's talk about why you're tired till 9 a.m. And anyway, I don't need to go in too much on that, but there's a couple action items there that are really good. And then as a leader with your people, showing them that you care about them, follow up on those action items.
Gotcha.
Then people know that you care. Otherwise, it's just a piece of paper and doesn't mean anything.
So how would I implement, I'm not a car guy, but if I say I set my goal, I don't even know, I'm going to say 10 cars for the month, right? And that might be a standard goal and not very good, but say, how do I take the step on measuring myself then? Like, how do you take the measurements? Like, am I a 7 or 8? Is that, how am I, is that my opinion or are you giving the employee that opinion?
That's a great point. So a lot of people, when we do these development plans,
Yeah.
they'll say something like, well, what do you think I am?
Oh, okay.
And it's like,
Okay.
that's tough because it's not my development plan, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm providing it. I want to follow up with you on it. But the reality is you just want to know what kind of confidence people have.
Okay.
Because they might say, oh, I feel like I'm a 4. And it's like, I just got to work on this guy or this gal's confidence, self-esteem, whatever that might be. And that's little things, right? Like when you were, I always think about some care pieces, right? Like when you were a kid and you got new shoes in school.
Yeah.
You're so proud of those new shoes, right? And it was so cool when someone said, hey, I like your new shoes. Those are really cool. Yeah. When someone gets a haircut, wow, you got a great haircut there. And it's like in the workplace, I work with a bunch of car guys, so we're all, I don't know, a little bit egotistical or whatever, if you will.
Yeah.
But like emotional roller coasters, which is fine because that's the performance-based work that we're in. But a little compliment once in a while on something that for sure does mean something to somebody, even though it seems corny and really third grade-ish, if you will. It's a big deal.
It's a big deal.
Yep. I try to make sure at work that I compliment somebody on something at least a couple times.
So how do you do that? Like, is it a brain check for Nick when he comes in the door? Like, I'm thinking about, okay, I'm Nick Shirek. I'm going in to walk in for him. Is there a Nick Shirek checklist to make yourself the call? How do you put these pieces together, right? And build that charisma to walk in the door. Nick's here. What do you think they're thinking, or how do you create the positive vibe?
That's a good point. I think the biggest thing on that is instead of seeing like a big group of people, for instance, right? Because there's a lot of people out there, is it's like I don't know if it's like a zone in or something, but Jimmy talked today. Jimmy's my brother-in-law, sells cars for us, works out with Mark and I in the mornings, and he talked in his meeting this morning at the store about, he goes, yeah, Nick always talks about this 100% rule, and I'll get back to your question in a second.
No, yeah.
100% rule
Like
is
the story.
Yeah, it's like it just goes, hey, when we're at work, let's give work 100%.
Okay.
Right? So and what he means by that and what I always mean by that or what he was referring to is like, wow, I'm just gonna chill, I'm gonna get some coffee, I'm gonna jump on Facebook, I'm gonna do this, and then I might start working and reaching out to guests and whatever. And it's like, no, if we want to get the most out of our day, let's get to work a little bit early. Yeah. Let's rock and roll. Yeah. Let's get everything done. Let's stay disciplined. Let's stay motivated. Let's make sure we have good behaviors.
Yeah.
The other part of that is When we leave work for the day,
Okay.
guess who I have at home?
Yeah.
I got my three
Family.
boys,
Yeah.
got my wife, and we have to make sure that we give them 100% as well.
Yeah.
Some days are tough. You know, we want to get home and it's like, I just want to surf social media. I just want to lay on the couch and just chill, man. I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
And my
Especially
oldest,
in the car business. I
Yeah.
mean, you guys, it's intense. I mean,
Yeah.
I know your job, your job. It is intense.
yeah, and it's like, and the kids, they don't know that.
Yeah,
You know,
right.
they don't care.
They
And it's
don't
like,
care,
yeah, they just want to be kids
Absolutely.
and they want dad.
Hell yeah.
And so it's like some days are tough and whatever, but if we can do that and stay motivated, then we give work everything we got to provide for our family. Then when we're home, we give everything we can to our family. And then when we go to bed, we go to bed.
Yeah.
And if that means we have to go to bed a little bit earlier to wake up earlier, that's what we have to do.
Absolutely, yeah. No, that is interesting. So I kind of like the thought. You shared a goal with me. And probably no one else knows this. Maybe Jimmy, I guess. Maybe.
Yep.
But you said me and I think for Lent you gave up instead of meat. You gave up I think cell phones after a certain time.
Correct.
And I think that's pretty huge. Again, being a parent,
Yep.
giving those kids 100% is. Maybe talk that, I don't know how far you're into that.
Yeah.
I mean, we're a couple weeks into that, I suppose.
Yeah, that's interesting. I can chat about that for a second. So, and it's funny, Jesse and I, my wife and I, what we did is we just said, hey, after work until we go to bed, because that's that 2 hours you get with your kids, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, it's time to eat, it's time for bath, it's time to play, maybe watch a little bit of TV with them, their favorite show, and then we tuck them in and read a book or something, right?
Yeah.
A very normal thing for most kids, but what happens as parents, we start getting busy with other distracting things, whatever it might be. So Jessie made the comment, she goes, I think, Jessie's my wife, I think for Lent, we should give up something together and I'm going to give it some thought. And I was like, yeah, okay, what are you thinking? And the comment was brought up about social media when we're at home.
Yeah.
And not that it was big and distracting, we both didn't think, but we just made the deal because she runs a business in town and of course I'm the general sales manager at the place I work, so very much needed by a lot of people. We just said if it's work, that's one thing, right? Work or family, answer the phone, answer a text message, it's all good.
Yeah.
But get rid of social media until you go to bed or something.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, it has made a difference, you know, instead of hanging out with the kids now, I'm like on the floor playing with dinosaurs with my two oldest boys or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's and it's like it's created a pretty exciting thing that even when Lent's over, like I kind of want to have a conversation with Jess and say, maybe we should keep this deal going. Let's hold each other accountable and keep it going.
Right.
100%, right?
So you do you just place the phone? Is it a no social media or is it like a no phone thing?
That's a good point.
What's the limits?
Yeah. So we still have our phones on us, of course, because if she's got a fire at work she's got to put out or me as well. It's like we still want to make sure that we're there for it.
Yeah.
Okay. But we just really hold each other accountable. Like, what are you doing there? Why'd you just send me that? It's like a TikTok video or something. It's hilarious. We're laughing. It's like, nah. So
TikTok.
Yeah. So it's not like, I don't know. I just think about it like someone quitting smoking, right? It's like, well, it takes a little bit of practice to try to do that. So
has that been tough? I mean, do you catch yourself like, oh
yeah,
whoa.
Yeah. Last night I was on the chair, and Jessie actually took Hudson to Blippi, which was fine. But right before that, she's like, well, what are you doing? Because I sent her a couple videos and whatever, and we just hold each other accountable to it. But it takes 30 days to create a habit. That's what I'm leaning on. I'm only 2 weeks in, so.
Yeah. I like that. Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah, my wife, she can shop till she drops. I feel like with different Amazon things that are going on. So, so it's basically you get home at 6 or whatever time, and it's.
Yeah.
Cut dry to business or no social media.
Exactly.
Just spend the time with the kids.
We get 2 short hours with our kids, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, just give them everything we can.
I like that. I told my wife about that. She's like, that's going to be really tough.
Yeah.
And I told her, well, one of my goals is to do the 75 hard challenge. Like I said, it's no alcohol, read self-improvement books, drink a gallon of water every day, and it's 75 days of work out in the morning for 45 minutes, work out outside for 45 minutes at night. It's like, them are all tough.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But I do love how you're spending time with your kids, and these challenges are, well, I don't know, what made you think about like that exact challenge?
Well, I think
I'm going to call it a challenge, but it's for Lent.
Yeah. So obviously for Lent, it gets you talking about, should we give up something? What should we do? But we both knew that we want to make sure that when we are at home, because it's such a short time. We give those kids everything that we can.
Yeah.
And we both like a little bit of social media once in a while, because it's almost like you try to help people all day. It's part of why we work all day. And like I was saying, it's kind of my time to just be by myself.
Yeah.
But it's like we help people all day. We put out fires, we answer questions, and we have a great time and a wonderful life. And it's almost like there's that little bit of when you get home.
Yeah.
And it's like, I can just surf a little bit and kind of be left alone. But then, like, who sacrifices, right? The kids don't get you 100%.
Yeah. You're not present. Probably with your kids.
Yeah, you're there, but you're not present. That's a good way to say it.
Yeah, they can just play themselves.
Yeah.
But they don't have.
And the reality is, the kids go to bed at 8:30 anyway. I'm not going to go to bed till 10. Right? It's like you still have an hour and a half to do it if you need to.
No, my girls run my life. I mean, I know that, but not having phone, it's a good one. I think a lot of people should take something away from that.
For sure.
So I just wanted to talk a little bit about how you got in the car business, of all businesses.
Yeah.
You've been in there a long time. You're not very old either. So maybe just talk us through on how you got to car and the sales. Like, is it your sales skills? Is it just something that motivates you? Is it the consistency of just grind and pound? I mean, that's what you guys are doing. How'd you get into that?
That's a great story. So he's still a great personal friend of mine, but his name's Trent Olson.
Yeah.
So I'm 32 now. I was 20 at this time, and Trent's dad. We raced race cars back in the day, and Trent's dad sponsored our race cars, and Bill is his name, was the sponsor, and Bill always talked about his son Trent. Oh yeah, Trent, but I never saw this Trent guy. But he was always like, Bill always talked about how proud he was of Trent, and Trent's in the car business, and did all these things, and blah, 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 if you will. Just all this stuff. But I never saw this Trent guy.
Yeah.
And I know now why I didn't, because the job is pretty demanding. So that's why. But so Trent, every year, though, he would go to Knoxville. And there's this race, the Knoxville Nationals. And we started, my brother, I just wrenched on the car, but started racing the Knoxville Nationals.
Okay.
And I was 20, and I'm sitting at a bonfire. Everybody's asleep. And Bill introduced me finally to his son Trent, and him and I just kind of started visiting.
Yeah.
And at this time, Trent was the general sales manager of the Honda Nissan store in town.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, and so we're just visiting, we're having a little bonfire, and we went to bed. The next night, we had a good vibe together, so the next night, we visited again.
Yeah.
Enjoyed a little bonfire, went to bed. Third night,
we
started visiting again, and he starts talking a little bit about the car business to me. And he's like, yeah, you should come sell cars. You should come sell cars for me. I think you'd be good, and I think that'd be a lot of fun. A lot of car sales is like anything, you just gotta make a friend. Try to make a friend, right?
Absolutely.
And that's what we were doing. And I don't know if that's what he saw.
How old were you?
I was 20.
Oh, she's 20. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if that's what he saw or what, but he asked me, he goes, well, I said, no, I don't want to be in the car business. I'm gonna go to school this fall and keep pouring concrete and whatever. That's what I was doing.
Yeah, good. I like that mentality.
Yeah, of course. And he goes, well, how about you do this? You go back to school and you just come work for me whenever class is over.
Yeah.
I mean, almost making it as easy as he can to get me to come work, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, nah, I don't think so. I'm good. I don't really want to be in the car business. Okay. So that next Friday, he comes to the races. We're at the races at the racetrack.
Yeah.
And he comes down, he goes, hey, I'm like, oh, Trent, how you doing? It's good to see you last week. We had a good time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, who's this guy? And it was one of his salespeople. And he's like, hey, tell him how many cars you sold last month, and tell him how much money you made.
Oh.
And I'm 20, so any money is big money when you're 20, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, what are you doing? So he goes, after that night was over, he goes, I want you to come by the store. I just want to show you the store.
Yeah.
So I was like, sure, I'll come and check out the store, And so I went there, and he introduced me to the owner of the company at that time.
Yeah.
And we just visited. I liked him. I liked the vibe. He asked me kind of what some concerns were, and he removed all those concerns and basically made it like, here's the deal. You're just going to come work for me. And
so you're in.
Yeah, and I did. And I started selling cars, and I had a blast.
Against school. Like, school went away.
Yeah, and the reality was I was going to school still.
Okay.
But like it's performance-based, and it was
yeah.
So my college professor, if she ends up watching this, kid, I love you, you're amazing. She was giving me a hard time because I didn't have many credits left. But the work kind of took over, and I slowly stopped going to school.
Gotcha.
And got an opportunity shortly thereafter to get into leadership. I was pretty young. I was barely 21, and I was in sales management. I was pretty green at that point yet.
Yep.
And just always tried to put myself in the right place at the right time, but always give everybody everything that I had to.
Got it.
And it's kind of where I'm at today. So
Yeah, the sales skills that you probably learned. I follow these people: Grant Cardone, Brad Lee. There's a handful of guys who all started out as car guys, and I think you guys role play your sales skills
Absolutely.
and your just the amount of training. Everything is sales at the end of the day.
everything is. Yep.
I had to sell you and get me here, so
Yep.
not hard, but I mean, you need
It's
to be
true
trained.
though. Yeah.
But learning those car sales skills and so is that something that goes on every day? Is that a training piece that you guys do
Yeah.
within
yeah.
your company?
So we're lucky. We have a company. It's Foster's Training, and Ben and Kevin Foster. They're actually personal friends of mine, but they're exclusive to the Rydell company.
Okay.
And it's really great. They're our corporate trainers. A bunch of advice that I've got from those guys is, you got to constantly train.
Okay.
Because the reality is, you and I have talked a lot, Mark, about like the whole 30-day to create a habit thing. And
Yeah.
the reality is, if you train on a topic, that's wonderful. But maybe there's people in the company that were sick that day or that weren't there.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a really good meeting. You had a great thing. That's got to be followed up with now. And then again, and then again, and then again.
The
and then again.
follow-up.
It's a big deal. If we want anything to be retained, it has to be constantly followed up with. And then about the time we feel like we got it, we got to start over and start training on all of it again.
Gotcha. It's
It has to be.
It's all the way through. I think
Yeah.
we talked about that in our business. We train once and done.
Yeah.
It's
not going to work.
I can read a book now and read a book in a year from now and get so much more out of it
Right.
because maybe I've grown that much more.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's constant improvement is what's going to make the change.
Well, and we think that a lot of our senior guys, maybe the people that have been guys or gals that have worked for us for a long time, I don't want to keep training on this because they're going to get annoyed or they're going to get this or that. It's funny, in my experience, what's happened is those are the ones that typically come back and say, hey, that was really good. I love that we're training more on this again.
Right.
I love that we got it brought back up.
Yeah.
There's just like that internal fear that a person's got to get past because a lot of those people really appreciate the time and effort.
Yeah, absolutely. So just as an example, what did Jimmy talk about this morning? What was the meeting about? And,
Yeah.
and how, because you guys do this daily?
Yes, yep.
And
Jimmy's a senior guy. We call him a senior guy, but
Yeah.
I mean, he's 40,
Yeah.
he's a young guy, but he's sold cars for like 12 years and does a great job. Good
Okay.
personal friend of mine, brother-in-law, you name it. But he talked a little bit on, habits, good habits today.
Okay.
So it's good for all of us to hear about that because it's like Jimmy sells 200 and some cars a year, makes a good living for himself, grinds really hard, and he's an extremely likable guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
You meet Jimmy, you don't get done talking to Jimmy and go, I don't really need to ever see that guy again.
Yeah.
You get done talking to him, you go, that guy was a good dude.
Yeah.
I'd sure like to be able to chat with him some more. So Jimmy talked a little bit this morning about, setting himself up to win every day.
Okay.
A lot of it was about the 100% rule we talked about a little bit ago,
Yeah.
but he said things in the meeting like, hey, it's good to have a good friend in every department.
Yep.
So Jimmy likes to work really efficiently
Okay.
because, they say multitasking is a myth, and a lot of that does come true. But Jimmy might be getting a vehicle prepared for somebody that's going to come in at 4 o'clock, but he's also got a guest that needs to show up at noon to go over numbers. How do I get all that stuff done at the same time? So we just talked about some different habits that he can create. Or if he's got guests that he's actively working with, right, that haven't bought yet, but they're still interested.
Yep.
He goes, we got to really do a good job of communicating with those guests as often as possible. Because what happens in the car business is we might meet a Mark or a Jen or someone like that inquires about a vehicle, and it's been 2 months, and now 3 months, and now
Right.
3.5 months, now 4 months, and it's just been a long time. And Jimmy's like, are you selling those guys a car actively? No? Then move on and give your time and energy to somebody else that's maybe a little bit fresher in the funnel, so to speak. Not that we're forgetting about those people, but try
Right.
not to dog yourself down. And
Gotcha.
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And just try
yeah.
to stay focused and motivated that
And
way.
so you would train a different guy, a salesman. Probably you
Yep.
would host some, and
Yep.
others would host another of this. I like that. I think every business should integrate
Yeah.
that because consistent training all the time.
Yeah.
Because you just forget things. You got to freshen up.
It's different topics. We have a couple of high performers. Dave's another guy, huge family man, holy person, incredible family man. Always, good looking dude. Always looks really good at work, and he's just
Yeah.
a pro, right?
Yeah.
And Dave, what the staff wanted to know, I asked a lot of people, what would you want Dave to train on, and this, that, and Dave talked about like priorities or at home. How do you do home and
Yeah.
let's talk about work-life balance. I personally think that it's just life.
Okay. Yeah.
Right? But so they talked a lot about that, or Dave chatted a lot about how does he balance it all? Because Dave, a lot like Jimmy, you meet the guy, you love him, but he's just a true pro.
Yep.
He looks the part every day. He's tight. He's ready to go.
Yep.
So everyone, and how do you do that? How do you do that every day?
Every day.
Craig is a awesome sales guy. Everybody's heard of Craig Croker, right? The Croak in town.
Yeah.
Amazing human being, and he's a grinder and everything else too. But like, how did Craig get that way?
Yeah.
So he just talks to everybody about, this is his little secrets or his little, his little quirks, if you will, that he does, that he has to do every day. Craig talks, well, I got to get to work at 7. Why? Well, that's kind of our workout time. Craig works out.
It's a habit.
But it's like, and if he gets there, he can kind of just does his thing, and that's kind of where he like sets his mind or whatever. Right. It's just good to get into the minds of some of those guys.
Well, just talking to all these salesmen, you said that, I think you shared with me the fear of leaving the car sales world is because you guys are so into it all the time.
Yep.
It's just a challenge to leave, or what's the fear of leaving the car, but like as a car salesman, an aged car salesman?
Yeah, so it's tough, it's tough because car sales is, much like any sales, but car sales, it seems like, has this stigma of being like really tough on people, tough on their bodies and tough on their brains. And so it's like, I'm trying to understand that a little bit and live a healthier lifestyle and maybe work and do some of these things ahead of time.
Yeah.
It's funny. It's no wonder that a lot of us get unhealthy, because a lot of car salesmen will say, you've heard Jimmy say this, I got to go get lunch every day because it's my time to like just have a little bit. And a lot of my staff says the same thing, and I respect that because they've worked their butts off.
Yeah.
But what happens is they're so used to going and going and going and going and going and going and going that a salesperson might retire, and they're like, well, what do I do now? And so it's kind of scary.
Yeah.
And so that's why a lot of them will stay and work as long as they absolutely can, because it's scary. Much like anything,
Yeah. Your purpose just goes away.
My mom and dad are talking about retirement, right? And I'm like, well, what are you going to do? Well, we want to live at the lake. And it's like, well, that's awesome. I love that you guys want to do that because that's what you've worked hard for. But it's like, I know my dad.
Yeah.
And it's like, he's not, he's going to do so. He'll end up, it'll be, Dan's Customs or something, and he'll make custom furniture or something.
Right.
You know what I mean?
You got to have a purpose.
Yeah.
I think everyone thinks let's get rich, retire at 35, and go golf every day.
Yeah.
This would be the most miserable
right.
holes of golf you've ever golfed when you retire at 35.
I think it sounds awesome.
Yeah.
And then you do it for a week, and you're like, well, this sucks.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and I think your phrase was, if a car guy retires, the death rate is high on them. People have fear of that.
Yeah, and it's funny. I didn't want to get into that too much if some of my guys are watching this, but that's the reality.
It's just a real part of it.
Yeah, it is, and that's what's scary. We've had situations even locally where we've had a couple of really awesome guys, and then that's what happens.
Right.
And you go, oh man, that really sucks. It's like, I don't want to die.
Well, yeah, not when you're grinding your whole life and then you retire, and unfortunately you grind. You just, as a car guy, probably can't have a ton of hobbies.
Right.
You would retire and do your hobbies.
Yeah.
Yeah, I fix old cars in my garage. Well, you have hardly time to play with your kids, and then as you age and your kids get older, they move. But you're gonna just work more, probably.
Yeah.
And because that's what you know how to do, and that's what you like doing. But you don't have any hobbies to retire with.
It's funny you say hobbies, because my wife and I, we go back and forth a lot. And she's like, well, you fish. You're in ice fishing, and you like to fish in the summer. I'm like, okay, I ice fished twice this winter. Let's see, is that really a hobby, or was it just like an event,
Yeah, right.
And in the summer we like to fish, or whatever. But it's like, if my kids want to go for a boat ride instead of fish, it's like, I'm gonna do that,
Right, yeah.
So it's like, I don't know.
Well, I think that's probably the challenge here of everyone wants to retire early and be super wealthy, and it's like, do you really?
Yeah. Car guys go hard, it's like they work hard and then they play really hard.
Okay.
I was in Vegas for the National Auto Dealers Association.
Yeah.
NADA, I was about to say.
Yep.
And there's a bunch of car guys there, and it's like, they go hard. They're all pretty tired in the morning because they're in Vegas, and they have a blast.
Yeah.
But they just work hard, and then they try to play really hard too. And
yeah. No.
I try to work hard, but maybe not play quite so hard, then I can last.
Yeah. Maybe store some money. Yeah. Absolutely.
Exactly.
I just know that is a problem in the car biz. So you hire all these. You have car salesmen. I know there's turnover in every business, but you have. I think I asked you this in the truck the other day, but. The average age of some of these car salesmen, because like I said, I follow successful car salespeople, and they're addictive personality or whatever. They get really attached to it if they stay a long time.
Yep.
But these new guys, how do you retain them? How do you keep them motivated what kind of age group do you have as salesmen today to?
That's a very interesting question. So the interesting thing about that is the car business is changing kind of right before our eyes. There's a big evolution of change that's happening right now, and Jimmy's chatted a little bit about how he does A to Z, right? A to Z. What does A to Z mean? A to Z.
Yeah.
And what the consumer wants now more than ever is like, I just want to talk to one person.
Oh.
So it's tough. So back in the car business days, or even when I started, 2010, it was like, I met the guest, and then I had the guest meet the person that's going to look at their trade. And then I had the guest meet, the sales manager. Then I had the guest meet the person that's going to do their financing.
Yeah.
And then the guest got to come back to me. And it worked, but it's like the guest kind of started demanding a little bit different things. And it was like, we can fight that, or we can try to change the way we do business. And we're not really car sales people anymore. We're sales consultants.
Right.
It's like we consult with the guest. What are you looking for? I'm not going to sell you a car. I'm just going to help you try to solve the problem that you're looking to solve, which is I need a vehicle for my daughter or whatever that might be. And how do we do that? And how do we get the guest to only talk to one person and see one face? Well, we came up with this single point of contact, or A to Z program.
Okay.
And there's a lot of software, if you will, and a lot of that stuff that these people learn. And the reality, like any software is, I love my old dogs like crazy. The younger generation picks up on software a little bit quicker than the older generation does. So the great thing that we have going on is we have a pretty young staff. A lot of salespeople in their 20s.
Okay.
A lot of them in their 30s. And that's exciting.
Yeah.
But the reality is they see what this opportunity is, this A to Z opportunity, and in that they can sell some more cars because they get some more opportunity. They can make some more money because they're doing more of the process, not just selling the car, and that's helping with retainment. Big time.
Really?
There used to be a big turnover number, and in all of last year, I turned over only a couple people, which is just almost unheard of.
And the secret sauce is this A to Z.
Yeah. It's because it's a great opportunity, and it allows these people to live a great life and kind of have full control. So their guests are happier.
Yeah.
They're happier. I tell Jimmy all the time, and Dave, who I referred to earlier, I'm like, you guys, it's like you're running your own business, but we're carrying all the expense and all the inventory.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
So they can kind of build their own brand and be their own people and stuff like that too. And it's pretty successful for them.
Cool. And when you entered the car sales, or these young guys, in 2010 or whenever you entered, these young kids are motivated with money.
Yep.
And obviously, is that what motivated you, and is that what motivates these young guys? Because you were telling me ages of like 19 to 23, and I was like, holy crap. These kids are just going through a lot of things at that age.
They are, and what I've learned on some of that stuff is everybody's motivations are different.
Okay.
Part of that care piece, like we talked about at the beginning, is like finding what does motivate people.
Okay.
What I find right now is some people are motivated by extra time off. Right, that kind of sounds crazy, but they're motivated by time off. Or, man, I would do X, Y, and Z if I could get this Saturday and Monday off.
Okay.
Or I'd like to just work the late shift every day, then I could sleep in, or whatever it might be. I was really money motivated, and I still am now.
Okay.
Like, I want to make all the money in the world that I can.
Yeah.
And try to do whatever I can with it, but that's not everybody's motivation.
Gotcha.
My wife, for instance, she wants to, provide a healthy alternative in the Grand Forks area. She's not making a killing doing it. She's having a great impact on the community, and that's what she wants. That's great, right? That's wonderful. I want to support that. We want to support that.
Yeah.
So it's not what I've learned is if I try to motivate everybody with money, I'm only going to get part of what opportunity might be there. If we can find out what motivates everybody, and try to create a strategic plan that can kind of encompass exactly what everybody's trying to do. Maybe this person, if they do A, B, C, or X, Y, Z, they're going to get this for a prize or for an outcome. And that might be a long weekend. Or this person wanted to take their family on a trip to Las Vegas. And it's like, okay, well, if we figure out this and do this for you, maybe by Christmas time we can have that trip figured out. And so that's a motivation for them. Yeah. It just depends,
Yeah, we even, in my business in construction, we motivate people with PTO, full benefits, 4% match. The benefit list nowadays is just extraordinary just to be competitive in the market, and then try to keep some retention, which is all back. I always lean back to culture and the main point of
For
this
sure.
whole conversation is you know, the biggest fight I would say other than culture is motivation with me, which you
Yeah.
seem to bring that piece. And I'm going to refer back to the kind of the question I asked earlier, just how, so when Nick comes in the morning,
Yep.
the culture king himself, you know, I know you don't have a cape on and you're running through motivating everybody, but
Yep.
how do you know what I mean? Do you go through a checklist and like, how do you
There-
motivate everybody?
There is. So there's a couple tricks that not, I shouldn't say tricks. There's a couple good habits that someone can do.
Okay.
Me, I like I mentioned the whole like your hair looks nice. I like your shoes.
Yeah.
Sounds crazy. I just try to find some things right away to compliment some people on.
Yeah.
And not that it's fake, it's genuine.
Okay.
But a lot of people will see that or be like, man, Alex's hair looks really good today. They'll see that, they'll think it, they won't say that.
They
But
won't
guess
say
how
it.
good Alex felt because you complimented him on his hair.
Yeah.
Like self-esteem for guys even like you and me, Mark, it kind of fluctuates depending on our confidence is or whatever. Someone tells me, geez, Nick, I can tell you've been working out. It looks like not only you feel good, but you're looking really good, man.
Yeah,
You look
yeah.
good in that shirt today. I'm like, that felt really nice.
Right.
So there's a couple things that we can do. I have one of my sales managers. He's doing a great job, and he's really working right now on perception because he's got kind of an angry resting face.
Okay. Yeah.
So I'm doing this. It's called the 10 penny trick.
Okay.
So he starts in the morning. He has 10 pennies in his left pocket, and he can't leave until those 10 pennies are in his right pocket.
Oh yeah, I like
And
that.
every time those 10 pennies are there for is just to remind him to find somebody to compliment. And
Yeah.
it might not even be about their appearances. It might be something like, hey, I want you to know I saw the way that you introduced yourself to that guest
Yep.
10 minutes ago at the front door, and I thought that was really amazing because of blah. If you just tell somebody, hey, good job, it's like, well, good job on what?
Yeah.
If we can be really specific and say, hey, I thought that was really great the way you handled A, B, C, and X, Y, Z. What's the odds that person's going to do that behavior again?
Right.
They're going to for sure do it again.
Yeah.
If I compliment someone on their hair or the way that their shirt looks on them or it's tucked in or whatever,
Absolutely.
they're probably going to do it again. If someone said to me, hey, you look like you've been losing weight, you must be working out. What's the chances I want to wake up that next morning and
Yeah.
get after it again?
Very true.
So it's it's cyclical or whatever. It's like
The 10 penny trick.
that's a big deal.
I like that.
Yeah, I learned that from the Foster boys that I referred to earlier.
That's just a good way because you have, well, let's just say 68 direct people or,
Yeah.
you know, how do you get in front of every person? You can't spend the time with every person, unfortunately, right? Like, I find the same challenges within my own team. And,
For sure.
But I like that 10 penny trick.
There are times too you want to close your office door, right? It's like I just got to zone in.
Yeah,
I just got to get this done. But much like your kids at home, your staff at the store, they're like, hey, like I need you, and you want to make yourself available, and you got to make yourself available for your people.
Absolutely.
And if that means that whatever task has to be pushed off, that's just what has to happen.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. So what, you're the culture king. How do you self-improve and how do you consistently improve yourself on that? Like you're so great at it already, but it's a constant improvement of everything, right? If it's sales, you got to work on it every day, and it changes over time. So how do you keep yourself improving as being the culture king?
Yeah, so there's a lot to there now. I actually just started about 3 years ago now. I got really into audiobooks.
Okay.
So I always used the excuse forever that I couldn't read. I can't read. It's like I can read, but I'll get through 10 pages and go, man, what did I just read?
Yeah.
I can't retain anything, And it's because my mind's thinking about sales, or it's thinking about this, or it's thinking about this. I can't unwind.
Yeah.
So a gentleman that I work with, his name's Greg, super, super great guy, got me set up with a pair of AirPods.
Yeah.
And like an audiobook or Audible subscription.
Yeah.
He's like, I think this might help your reading out. And I started what's called book club with him.
Yeah.
And so this book club there's a group of us every Thursday. This time it was from 3 till 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
So 1 hour every single Thursday. We would read the book old school, like you're in school again, right? So usually Greg would read, but we could take turns reading if we want. We could through a few pages and say, anybody have any examples they could talk about that? Oh, I was thinking about the other day I was chatting with Chad about this situation that happened and it reminded me of it. And based on what I read, I could have probably handled it differently if I would have tried this. What I learned though is in group settings, I can read and I can retain.
Gotcha.
If we're reading like we're back in school, right?
Oh.
By myself.
You were telling me about that.
Yeah,
That's
in
cool.
in audiobooks, I have the AirPods in, much easier. So when we work out, it might not be a book when I work out, because we work out for 15-minute intervals, right? So I try to listen to like a 12 or 14-minute, some sort of a motivational or inspirational something, and they're all over YouTube, you know.
Oh yeah.
And they update every day, so it's like you can listen to something new every day. But people's needs and priorities change.
Oh yeah.
So I mentioned set it and forget it at the beginning of this, and showing people that you care about them and everything else. Relationships are a big deal.
Oh yeah.
You know, because if my needs changed, my big goal changed 2 months ago.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And the company I work for supported that, and it made me feel that much greater about what I'm doing because I know that they care about me.
Yeah.
And what I've learned is what some people say is, well, I told Nick that forever I wanted to buy a new Corvette or something, or I wanted a plane, or I wanted to buy my first house, or whatever it might be.
Yep.
If I tell him that I don't really want that anymore and I want this, he's probably going to think less of me. Well, you just have a bad relationship with that person, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so let them change.
Right.
And let them talk to you about changing, and then maybe we start a development plan over again.
Okay.
You know?
Gotcha. Yeah.
So.
It's just a repeat process. I think the refreshing, set it and forget it. So lost, forgotten. This isn't a turkey baster. You have to be on it 24/7.
Ben, you know Ben.
Yeah.
That's what he goes. He goes, this isn't a Ronco cooker. You can't just set it and forget it, right?
Right.
But yeah.
Well, if you set it and forget it, even a week or two, I'm sure you notice the slough, or
for sure.
His shirt's not tucked in, or whatever the case is. Yeah. It's not the consistent training.
And I think a big thing on that too is vulnerability from a leader.
Okay.
So you mentioned if you don't do something for a week or two. This was last fall. I found myself in like a weird slump. It was like 2 weeks. I was kind of doggy at work, and I wasn't really myself, and it's kind of crabby. I wasn't really complimenting and whatever. And I just looked in the mirror, and I was like, man, I'm kind of being an ass. I don't like this person that I am right now. Like, what's going on? And I was just really vulnerable with the team. I just sent them all out. Actually, I had a meeting, with my direct reports. I just said, hey, I just want to apologize. I know that I haven't really been the person that I'm supposed to be. I had a couple of my direct reports call me out on that. They're like, dude, you're kind of being different, and we don't like it. And I'm like, all right, can you tell me how? And they're like, well, just try to recognize it tomorrow. And I did. And so I was vulnerable with them and just like, hey, you know what? I apologize. This isn't the person that I am. Everything's great at home. Everything's great everywhere. I'm just in a weird funk right now. And it was like I was able to admit that. I was able to find that the team still loved me because I admitted it. And then it was almost instantly I was back to who I should be.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's wild. Yeah.
Vulnerability is a wonderful thing. A lot of people struggle with it, though.
Yeah. That's you have more emotions than I do, and I struggle with that for sure.
Yep.
It's you want to open up to the team, be transparent, be super vulnerable. Obviously, is where they just kind of jump back on your shoulders and they run next party again.
He appreciates that, right?
Yeah.
We're not robots.
Some people think we are.
Or they expect us to be.
Yeah. I think it's challenging where we're at sometimes.
For sure.
And you get into slumps and winters, and it's been a tough winter this year. It's like, how do I reset, remotivate?
Right.
What is the one thing to set me off and reset? I feel like even times in the month, like you're just like, I don't want to get motivated about anything. I don't know what to do, and I listen to books when I work out, and then I hear one motivational thing, or I can see a quote and get instantly sparked up.
For
that
sure,
quote, you know. And so you and I think we feed off each other a little bit. I send you stuff, you send me things, and it's at times when maybe you don't even know. Maybe everything's good, but it keeps us motivated.
It's a big deal.
Knows someone cares about you. The vulnerability, I think.
You might get done with that and go, I didn't realize how bad I just needed that.
Yeah, right. Absolutely.
There's a thing real quick you talked about. Maybe doing some different things or trying to find some motivation, or it's been a long winter, whatever. Jesse last night was telling me, so our cousin Kaysen, good young man, it's his birthday. I think he turns 10 or something like that. And today they're swimming at a hotel. She's like, we should bring the kids and go swimming for Kaysen's birthday. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. It's like, oh man. But I knew she wanted to do it, and I was like, are we gonna not do it, or are you going to surprise me at 4 o'clock tomorrow, which is today, and say, like, are we going to go? Then is what the plan? So this morning, I got done with my workout. I felt good. I was in a great place.
Good.
Got out of the shower. I was in our closet, and I laid out my trunks, some shorts, a shirt, and I was just ready to go for all of it. So I left. I gave her a kiss goodbye, kissed my kids, and I just said, honey, I said, can you grab my trunks and all my stuff before you go into town? Nice. So we're going swimming.
Nice.
And I did that, and I felt so much better now because of it. It's like, we haven't even went. I know it's going to be a blast.
Yeah.
The kids need to get out of the house. It's been spring break this week, right? So it's like, they've been at home because it's getting nicer out now.
Oh,
it's been cold.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And it's like, I'm not going to swim with the kids and be done and be like, oh, that was terrible. It's going to be awesome. You know?
Yeah.
But it's getting there and doing it and whatever. So,
you know, you're a good man. You're a good man. You're very good at reaching out, following up. I think a lot of your car sales skills and maybe is a big culture piece of where you've learned, but you're great at you're good at being a friend. I'll tell you that. Cool. I'm not the greatest of friend. I'll be the first to admit. I just have troubles of thinking about reaching out. And it's just, you know, like we were asking the checklist when you go into the car dealership. How does Nick, you know, portray 10 pennies in my pocket? That gives me a countdown of I need to still do this. I haven't done a good job. So you probably engraved most of that in your brain now. Of how you do it. This is how you live your life. It's a habit.
Like mechanical almost or something,
right?
So
I think that's really good. What you know, you talked a little bit about books that you read, and some of the listeners maybe want to see what Nick's about, and what's the best book that you would recommend? Yeah,
so there's probably two that I would recommend. One of them I read in book club with Greg in our club, and that was Seven Habits, of highly successful people, highly effective people. Excuse me. Yes, not successful, effective. And the best chapter in there is seek first to understand and then be understood. And it was like it sounds crazy, but you think about that for a second. It's a big book. I mean, it's a big, thick book, but there's a lot of really good chapters. And essentially, I think it's like 7 chapters to line up with the 7 habits. But seek first to understand and then be understood. And what I get the most out of that is sometimes we might say something like, man, why would this person do that? Like, what's the deal? Like, what are they thinking?
Yeah.
I can't believe this. They know right from wrong. Maybe it's at work. Maybe it's at home. Maybe it's whoever. But the seek first to understand just says, ask a few questions first. It'd be like, hey, Mark, I noticed that you did whatever.
Yeah.
Can you, like, tell me about that a little bit? Well, the thing is like, the way I backed my pickup up to the trailer, I could only see part out the rear view camera on it, which is why I ended up, maybe someone backed a hitch into the bumper or something, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, gotcha. Okay, so you know that we got to do X, Y, and Z the right way. I know that was probably just a mistake. It's no big deal. But let's make sure that before we try to do any of this stuff in the future, that we maybe look around at some of this stuff first.
Gotcha.
Weird example. Seek first to understand and then be understood.
Kids,
like maybe a kid throws his food off the table, dumps a thing of milk on the. Like, what are you thinking, pal? Like, why was that? Why did you do that? Try to raise him a little bit. Dad, I told you I didn't want it. And to be honest, the milk doesn't taste good.
Yeah.
It tastes really bad. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's sour or something, right? It's like, okay, I get it. You know?
Yeah. There's a reason for everything.
Yeah.
I'm a big believer in that. And that's a good book. That's a good point.
Yeah. It got me to just kind of go like this, Mark. Like something happens and just go, okay, now let's react.
Yeah.
You know, think about it for a second and then react.
Right.
If you go, then all of a sudden you're a spaz, you know?
Yeah.
I used to be Taz the spaz, but I'm trying
super reactive.
Yeah.
Yep. I believe that there's something true with that. Like, think and then react.
Yeah.
Don't just react, because sometimes you don't know all the pieces to the puzzle.
Exactly.
Sour milk, whatever it is.
Yeah.
A lot of that, even in the construction biz, don't be super reactive.
I suppose.
So, all right. So the signature.
Twin Thieves too.
Twin Thieves, you like that one?
The book Twin Thieves. I gave you a copy of that.
I enjoyed reading that. It just gives you a scenario for everything on how to, the little devil's sitting on your shoulders.
It's a big deal. Big culture book.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Book. Yeah.
Yep. Twin Thieves is a very good culture book. Yeah. That is a good point. And, it's all psychological a little bit, but it runs you through how just to do every situation.
It's a smaller book too.
It is.
You know,
yep.
Which is nice. I don't believe it's available on Audible, but it's a smaller book, and I was able to get through it pretty quick. So I want to read it again.
Yeah.
It's kind of got me excited about it. But.
Yeah, because you can just read parts of it. You don't need, it's just all these scenarios and how to deal with situations, that is a very good book.
Incredible.
All right, dun. Nick kind of brought this up, so I like the question, and we were looking for a signature question, so be transparent about that. If you were an animal, what animal would you be then, Nexter?
So I got to thank Morgan for this. I work with Morgan every day, and she always talks about this question. So, and it's like animal, but it can kind of be anything, right?
Yeah.
So I told Mark a little bit ago, I want to be like a walleye.
Yeah, he was dying to answer this.
Yeah. So like a big walleye fish. You say, well, why would you want to be a walleye? And I think about, North Dakota fishermen, I guess some in Minnesota too.
Yeah.
But you're in Devil's Lake, you pull out a monster walleye, it's the summer, the sun's coming down, it's feeling good.
Yeah.
And are people mad when they hold up this walleye and feel good about it, or are they genuinely like pretty stoked? Like, look at this thing, it's like, I want to be something people are really proud of.
Yeah.
That's what I'm getting at on that deal. So whether it's a walleye, I told Jen earlier, maybe a lion, people go all the way to Africa to see a lion,
Yeah, right.
It's like, I just want to create a positive impact on people. I want to be someone that people look forward to being around. And they talk about when everybody's around your deathbed at the end, what are the little angels saying to you that you didn't do? It's like, I want them to say, hey, Nick made a positive impact on my life.
Absolutely. Well, and now, I mean, since you're going to be a walleye, we can mount you and put you in Rydell's or on our wall.
Yeah, I can be there forever.
You can be on that forever.
Yeah.
I know why he wants to be a walleye.
Yeah.
I haven't even thought about what animal I'd be. I can't even. I don't even recollect what animal I should be.
Be kidders. You'd be a cat.
Yeah, no, I'm not a cat guy, but it's just too soft and cuddly, and my wife knows that I'm not emotional. I'm not I'm just not a cat guy either. But, if I were to be an animal, I'm just trying to think about this now. What animal would I be? Tiger seems vicious to me. I don't know if I'd want to be a tiger, but maybe
a little aggressive.
Yeah. I like to be everywhere all the time. That's what I try to
Just
be.
like a golden retriever dog.
Yeah.
Love them.
I'd like to be some kind of special breed of a dog. I think.
There you go. Yeah, not a pit bull.
Could show off a little bit on TV and then still be stay in shape.
Yeah.
And
like a boxer.
Feel good every day.
Yeah,
I don't want to be
boxer
like the cat that just sits on the couch and wants to pet it all the time. I don't know.
Garfield. You don't want to be Garfield.
No. Yeah. So a special breed of a dog, which I'm going to have to figure out what kind of breed that is.
There you go.
But I appreciate it, man. I love you.
Thanks, Mark. Thanks for
you.
having me. I appreciate
This is
it all.
awesome.